Happy Tuesday, friends. This is Neil Adler with another episode of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. How was everyone's Monday? Getting ready for Thanksgiving, maybe some time off work or school or whatever's going on. What you got going on for Thanksgiving? Drop me some comments. This is Syracuse Central. We focus on Syracuse football, basketball, and recruiting in both sports here. As always, please give me constructive feedback about what you like and you don't like. And if you're so inclined, hit that subscribe button and tell all your friends. And if you don't like the show, don't tell all your friends. But still, you should definitely listen in because it's all about building a community together with Syracuse sports. I've been doing Syracuse Central. We launched it in, I guess, early August, so a couple months. But a lot of you guys and gals know me from being a writer and eventually the editor of Inside the Loud House covering Syracuse sports. And if you follow my work or we're on social media or in chat forums, I'm a pretty positive guy. I love my alma mater, proud Newhouse grad from 2000. I try and stay positive, look on the bright side of things, glass half full versus half empty. And some people will say I have orange colored glasses on, and that's fine. Although today they look pretty clear; they don't look orange. But I have to say, I've been a fan of Syracuse sports since like the 80s. And again, I went to Syracuse from 96 to 2000, graduated in 2000. Um, we're talking about Syracuse football here. That game at number 9 Notre Dame, 70-7, Syracuse scored their only points with 7 seconds left. That was embarrassing. That was shameful. And look, I love Fran Brown and I love the other coaches, and I've gotten to know some of them, and I don't even know what to say. That was beyond embarrassing. And I said this on the Inside the Loud House Facebook and Twitter or X pages. I guess it was on Sunday after the game. Like, I still think the future is bright. I believe in Fran Brown. I'm a proud alum. I always bleed orange. Blah 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 blah. But if we're being real here, that was freaking embarrassing. That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous. And like, I've been defending the team in terms of all the context. The leading passer in the country, Steve Angeli, the Notre Dame transfer, goes down in the fourth game. So, and Syracuse was 3-1 at the time after beating Clemson. So that's a big part of it. And the quarterback room's been a mess ever since. We'll get to that in the next segment. And I know the roster's young in many places and they have a tough schedule, blah, blah, blah. But you can't freaking lose 70-7 on national TV. And I get it was on the road, and Notre Dame is a really good team that will probably be in the playoff. But even other recent games amid Syracuse's, 7 game losing streak, they didn't lose that bad. 70-7. Notre Dame had 35 points before they even touched the ball in offense. Or wait, maybe that's too much. 21 points? I don't know. They scored multiple touchdowns. I don't even remember at this point because I don't give a shit. It was so embarrassing, and I'm so fired up. Notre Dame had scored multiple touchdowns before they even had the ball on offense. I think they had 42 points a few seconds into the second quarter. If they didn't put backups in, they could have scored 100 points. That was literally the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. And I've been through, ups and downs with Syracuse sports, and look, I celebrate the highs and stuff happens with the lows, but that was ridiculous. And case in point, when I looked at some of the odds for Syracuse, their final game at home against Boston College, which has not won a freaking ACC game yet. And Boston College, last time I looked, and it couldn't change, they were a 3.5-point favorite over Syracuse on the road, and they haven't won an ACC game. Now, granted, Syracuse has only won one, but that's absurd. And I don't care about odds that much. I'm just passing. But and I'm going to get off my high horse here because, again, I love Fran Brown. I love this, the direction of the program from a recruiting standpoint. I'm concerned about a lot of different pieces, but they're a 3.5-point betting underdog at home in the regular season finale against Boston College. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. All right, we'll move on. Ugh, so angry. So angry. Yeah, so I'm really, and a lot of other media members are saying similar things, and I'm not, again, trying to just like, rant and rave and just be obnoxious, but like at the same time, I don't understand what's going on with Syracuse's quarterback room. I don't understand it. Ever since Steve Angeli went down in that win over Clemson, yeah, so you have Ricky Collins come in, and he was a four-star transfer. He's a four-star prep prospect. He prep recruit. He went to LSU. Uh, he's got a got a decent sized arm. Is mobile. Okay, fine. So you start him, and things don't work out. But then it's like, then you're starting Joe Filardi for multiple games. But then you're bringing in Luke Carney, but barely letting him throw. And I don't understand what the hell is going on. And people keep asking about Jakari Williams. I don't know what the deal is there. And then who's the other quarterback in the room? Oh, Bellin, the dude, the freshman. I shouldn't say the dude. The freshman from Rich Bellin, the freshman from Cardinal Hayes in New York City. I don't understand what is going on with this quarterback room. Help me understand it. It's like, fine, you give Collins his shot and it doesn't work out, and then you decide to go to Filardi, but then you're giving Carney some time, and then you had him in last week in the loss to Notre Dame, so he can't even play against BC unless he burns a red shirt. But like, what's the point of him playing now and burning a red shirt? What's the point of that? So like, what do? You go back to Filardi? You're gonna let Bellin or Jakari Williams have a shot? Do you go back to Ricky Collins? Or like, I don't understand. And like, I don't want to get into like offseason talk. I want to respect the current team, and I want to respect the seniors, and they have one game left. But like, once the portal comes in early January, it's January 2nd to January 16th. Like, are any of these dudes going to stay? I mean, the hope is that Angeli is fully healthy for 2026, and he's already said he'll be back. But like, Ricky Collins isn't staying. Why would he stay? I guess if he has no other options, or no better options. But like, Carney, like, I feel like he's said that he's like expected to stay, but like, they've mismanaged him. I don't get it. Filardi, he's a walk-on in football. He's on scholarship for lacrosse, so I don't see him going anywhere because he's playing for the lacrosse team. We'll see how the lacrosse season goes. But, Bellin, Jakari Williams, why the hell would they stick around? It's so weird. I don't get it at all. It's like you put Carney in for like a couple series here and there, but you like barely let him throw. It's like, what's the point of putting him in then? You don't trust him. You obviously don't trust him. Then don't even put him in. Or give him like a whole game. Look, I love Fran Brown, and but like criticizing the quarterback mismanagement, the quarterback decisions. He's the head coach, so buck stops with him. But I guess you certainly could look at Jeff Nixon or other offensive coaches. They made some switches in terms of the quarterback coach and that sort of thing. And again, I'm not going to sit here and like trash the coaching staff, because like, I've made my point and we're going to move on here, but like, I don't understand anything that's gone on with the quarterback situation. I don't want to say since Angeli went down, because like, I get it. Once he had season ending injury, yeah, you're going to give Ricky Collins his shot. But then once that wasn't working out, like, it's just this back and forth. It's all over the place, and it's freaking weird. All right. So, yeah. So on Monday, yesterday, according to Pete Nakos of On3, Syracuse had a visitor, and it's a Virginia Tech transfer cornerback, not quarterback, cornerback, Dante Lovett Jr. He entered the portal in September, and the reason he could is because there was a head coaching change. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to. But in September, Virginia Tech leadership fired head coach Brent Pry. Earlier this month, they had an interim head coach, but earlier this month they hired James Franklin, the former Penn State and Vanderbilt head coach, to be the new head coach at Virginia Tech. But when Pry was fired in mid-September, Lovett, among others, assumably, entered the portal. He's only played in 2 games this year, but again, according to On3, he was on the Syracuse campus on Monday visiting, and that's something worth noting. He's a 3-star transfer prospect. When I looked on late Monday night in 24/7 Sports national transfer rankings, rankings. He was top 25 overall and number 4 cornerback. And these national transfer rankings right now are obviously a little skewed, so to speak, because there's not a ton of as many people in the portal that will be come January. But anyway, he's from the DMV where I'm from. He went to DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland, and as we've talked about on Syracuse Central many times, that's the DMV is a key recruiting market for Syracuse. So, we'll see. I'll try and get intel on how that visit went, and one thing I'll preface here is that, and we'll talk about this in the next segment when we talk about the 2026 class at the high school level. I feel like, with the 2025 class, Syracuse, they had a huge prep class. And Fran Brown had, made an emphasis to say, we're going to focus on high school recruiting and high school development and, player development. And I get all that. And they definitely had a smaller 2025 class at the transfer level versus 2024 when they brought in, Fidel Diggs and Kyle McCord and all these other dudes. But maybe with 2026, they still have a large class at the prep level, but maybe they are going to look at some more transfers, just given how the season has gone. Maybe they want to look at veteran guys versus, incoming freshmen. So we'll see. In terms of Syracuse's current secondary at the cornerback slots, they've got true freshman Demetrius Samuel Jr. They've got redshirt sophomore Chris Peel, a transfer from Georgia, sophomore David Kerr, among others. And Samuel already said he'll be back, and hopefully Peel and Kerr, among others, will be back. But, can't hurt to have more depth. And, Syracuse will also have some additional visitors that I've talked about for the Boston College game. They'll have some high school prospects. I've talked about a couple of different JUCO guys, that they're looking to have on Saturday against Boston College. Two of those were Darius Wiley, an edge rusher, and Jeffrey Manns II, a defensive lineman. They have played at a really good JUCO school, Hutchinson Community College in Kansas. But then another one that is presumably visiting on for the Boston College game is David Connor. He's a 3-star JUCO offensive lineman who in the past has called Syracuse one of his dream schools. And he said on X that he was visiting Syracuse next week. This was last week, but for next week, I assume it's against BC. And he plays at Andrew College in Georgia. He's from Atlanta or the Atlanta area. And so, it'll be interesting to see. So there's a couple things at play here. Obviously, again, with Syracuse's 2026 class coming up, you've got the prep level, and they had 30 guys. They lost 3 on Sunday. I'll go talk about that in the next segment. But then you can look at JUCO guys, and we've mentioned some of these guys here. You can look at Division II guys. They offered a few in recent days. I'll probably get into that a little bit more in a different Syracuse Central segment. But then, in terms of FBS, Division II, I believe, doesn't even have like a specific portal window right now, if I'm not mistaken. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But then FBS and FCS level guys, the portal will be January 2nd and January 16th, unless there's a head coaching change, like the case with Dante Lovett. So it'll be interesting to see what Syracuse's, overall strategy will be in terms of the transfer market, or the transfer portal beyond like the prep class in 2026. And that class, or the early signing period, is in early December. I believe it's December 3rd, December 5th. So, again, I'll have intel as much as I can on all these dudes and offers made and visits and obviously commits or decommits or whatever. But it'll be an interesting time given Syracuse's disappointing season, like what their overall strategy is from a recruiting standpoint. I think they should personally get more into the transfer portal. I understand player development and wanting to look at the long haul for high school guys. But again, even when you get those guys, you don't know if they're going to be at your school beyond 1 year because of the portal's explosion and NIL and rev share and all that. So it's just a weird time for college sports and college recruiting, but I'll keep on top of it. And speaking of that, so on Sunday, and obviously there might've been some more activity by the time the show runs on Tuesday morning or late morning. But on Sunday, three guys in Syracuse's 2026 class at the prep level decommitted. Three-star running back Deontay Sheffy, three-star wide receiver Zakir Leaks, and three-star athlete Sean Sutton. They all confirmed it on social media. I saw it on recruiting services. Looked at some comments from analysts and other fans and chat forums. And first thing is wish these three guys well. Always, and it's kind of tough to be reopening your recruitment. With the early signing period coming up in 2 weeks. The regular period would be in February, but I don't know anything about these three guys if there's any academic issues, and I wouldn't suggest that. But what I will suggest is, based on some stuff I've read and their social media posts, I have a feeling that this might be a case where Syracuse coaches might be trying to shrink the overall size of their 2026 class at the prep level for a couple of reasons. Number one, they might be expecting some guys on the current roster who they thought maybe would hit the portal in January. Maybe now they're thinking will come back. Or maybe Syracuse coaches want to focus more of their recruiting and more of their available scholarships on guys who will hit the portal from other schools and they could bring to Syracuse. Those two aspects beyond the 2026 class at the prep level. And so they had 30 verbal commits. It's down to 27, or at least it was as of when I taped this show. But it's still a top 30 national class, and we'll just have to see. I wasn't super concerned when I saw these three guys decommit, and I know it happened the day after Syracuse lost, a game that was really embarrassing. And I saw some other articles and other media outlets, and I'm not going to single them out, that had headlines that kind of potentially inferred that maybe these guys decommitted because of that Notre Dame loss and just this season being really bad. I think that's bullshit, personally. Excuse my language. I think this might be the case where Fran Brown and his staff are calling up some guys and saying, hey, we're not going to have room for you in terms of 2026 prep level guys. And that's just the way it goes. And it sucks, but it's a business. And, what will concern me as we head to early signing day, the early signing period in early December. Again, I think it's the 3rd to the 5th of December. Syracuse has 1 5-star commit in wide receiver Calvin Russell out of Miami Northwestern. They have 6 commits who are rated 4 stars by at least one recruiting service. Alexander Haskell, let me get this, Amari Guff, Tadarius Hughes, Javion Cooper, Cameron Wilson, and Jarius Rogers. If one or more of those guys start to decommit, then I'll get more concerned. The guys that decommitted on Sunday, this is no disrespect whatsoever, but they're 3-star guys, and rankings aren't everything. But again, I'm just being real. If some of the higher rated guys start to decommit, then I would start to get concerned. I still think the future looks bright for Syracuse football. I think recruiting is still on the up and up. We'll see how transfer stuff factors in, both guys coming in and guys going out. Once we get to early January, I will have all the intel and all the visits and offers and all that as we get into the portal season as well. But again, just to reiterate, for Deontay, Zakir, and Ishan, I feel bad that it's this late in the cycle and they're reopening the recruitments. I wish all of them well. I hope they land in great spots and have killer college careers. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. I'm your host, Neil Adler. Again, we focus on Syracuse football, basketball, and recruiting here, and try and remain positive as much as possible. Drop me comments about what you like and what you don't like. We'll get in more into basketball later this week. And hit that subscribe button if you feel so inclined. I appreciate you all. I'm thankful for you all. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I will talk to you again on Wednesday. It's hump day. Take care, friends.